Hello and welcome to the Quiver channel. I am Jason, your host. My inheritance doesn't really exist anymore, except for the house, which is wonderful, and I appreciate my mum so much for what she did with this house. Because there is so many people out there that don't have a house. My mum worked all her life to try and provide for me. She knew how messed up I was, how messed up my brain was. She always wanted to make sure that I was okay. She was very smart. She worked sometimes 2 or 3 jobs. She put away money. She didn't do things for herself, even though we were always trying to get her to. Both me and Paola were always trying to get my mum to spend money on herself. And she put aside money. Always did. Earlier in the year, and last year, more like, I had discussions because I was concerned what would happen when my mum passed away and I inherited this money. How would it affect my benefits and stuff like that? I don't have to worry about that anymore. You see, I am the sole beneficiary if anything happens to my mum. I'm also the power of attorney, which means that my first thing as the son of my mum, and knowing my mum well, was to rebuild this house, to repair all the damage done by the people who were in it before. And almost 7 years worth of damage, which we're still finding damage now and then, of what was done. Thankfully, that money that would have just been, if my mum passed away, it would have just been cashed out and given to me. Instead, we've been able to use that thingy to look after the house. This house matters. Yes, with all the stress that happened with the drug dealers next door that were next door, and all the bad things and all the harassment and me basically being under siege and all that, some people would have thought I should have just ran away. This is the family home. While I spent almost 3-4 years with Paola in the house next door, while my mum had dementia, far more time was spent in this house. We may have lived on the other side of the city, but we spent massive amounts of times here. The guest bedroom was our second place to live. We would spend time here all the time. And I know my mum is almost completely gone, or if not completely gone by now, except to her body. But this house matters. It mattered to her. Her spirit's here. What she always loved, who she was bound into this house. And that's why it hurt so much and traumatized so much when I moved in here and found out all the damage that had been done. And I did not have a choice but to move in here within 3 days, and I had to get the person who was in here out of here, as was proved by all the damage done next door when she went in there. I had to look after Mum's house. And it really was a no-brainer that the choice between just letting this house fall further into disrepair and then wait until my mum passes away and then just basically run away and leave and find somewhere else to live with the money, and that, or use up my inheritance, the money that she put aside for me, to fix this place. I I don't regret it at all. Hey, baby. It's like, and because Beryl, and of course, we've made sure that there's money set aside for Beryl and Bertie, end of life care for both dogs, because both these dogs, Bertie and Beryl, were both mine and my mum's. Me, my mum, and Paola. I always did the walking of the dogs, the looking after the dogs, but my mum took on all the medical bills and the financial side. That's just the way we always worked. So these were the last dogs that are part of the family, part of my mum's property and everything. And if I'm left with just enough at the end of all this, oops, what have you got, Beryl? You put your paw in my pocket. Just enough to pay for the funeral for my mum, then that's okay. I can budget for my bills. I can make sure I keep everything sorted. I can do all of these things because that's what matters. And even a year later, over a year after Trevor went, still finding stuff that he broke and damaged. There was something seriously traumatized in Trevor, had to be, for what happened. For the way he lived 3 or 4 different lives, though he showed a different side to himself to everybody. I mean, the parts I can't solve, the parts I can't bring back is my mum's jewellery. That's gone. We'll never know who he sold it to, who he gave it to. Same goes for 99% of my mum's Wedgwood pottery in Royal Dalton. We'll never know who he sold it to, who he gave it to, where it went. That means part of my mum's legacy is gone. So the only part of the legacy of my mum left is this house. And that's why it always comes back to, yes, even though there will be nothing left by the time we've finished with working on the house and putting it back in the way it was supposed to be, it's the right thing to do. I'm not only glad that my mum is past the point that she would ever be able to know what happened here. I'm also happy that Paola isn't here, because Paola absolutely adored this place. I remember my mum and Paola picking out the bedspreads for the spare room, for the guest bedroom for us. I have no idea where those went, because they weren't here when I had to take over the place. I mean, that bedroom even had a little crafting table in the corner for Paola to mess with when we were here. All that's gone. And when we find new things that are broke like that, like the washing machine connections and everything, it just reminds me just how much was lost. But I'm still here. I have all the good memories of this place with Paola, with my mum. I remember my mum's and Paola's laugh when they were both sitting in the backyard, and we were playing with the dogs in the backyard. Because where we lived, in the assisted bungalow, where we lived, the old place, before we moved down here, we didn't have a garden or anything. It was just a communal area. It was lots of old people's little bungalows and a great big quad in that. And so there was no actual privacy outside your house. So we were always coming down here and spending time in the backyard and in the house here, and Mum would always make us food. The only times we stayed up there for them to come and visit us was when we were going to have a movie night, because we always had a bigger TV than they had. And so we could have all the movies in that. We did but everything else we would be down here in this place. So those memories I have. And that's why it was so important to repair the backyard and set it back up the way it used to be. Anyway, I'm going to do a stream in that in a bit. I am very lucky to be in a situation I am now. Even with all this stuff happening. I mean, my mum was so amazing. The way she never took on a house that was more expensive than the last one. So she never ever had a mortgage after the first one. Most people can't do that. Most people have to go to increase the size of the house when they move. So my mum was amazing for that. So I am in a situation where I appreciate that so much. I also appreciate massively the fact that I was able to replace a lot of the items that were broke or sold or destroyed or lost during the move into here before. And what I have now will have to last for a very, very, very long time. Which is why one of the things that I bought was a soldering iron and a heat gun. Because I always had this idea that when my mum passed away, I'd redo all the electronics in the house and fix everything up and make everything thingy to help with my disability and everything. Now I'm going to, like everybody else, I'm going to have to budget everything I do from now on out. I always say the only difference is technology is not a hobby. Technology allows me to function. Technology is part of my treatment. It's in my medical notes. I have always got to make sure I have a backup for everything. I ask myself now and then, have I done right by my mum? Yes. Take care of yourselves, everyone. You're amazing.